Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Terry Talk. 2002 is going to go down as the year of the buzzword catchphrase meme, if you will. Unbelievable. Just recently, we were talking about quiet quitting. That's been going just crazy, wildfire spreading all over social media. Quiet quitting, just as a quick reminder, is when people are, not giving that little bit extra, just kind of dialing it in at the bare minimum, just to sort of get by, but not really getting into what we referred to previously when we talked about this discretionary effort. Back in October, don't I wish, August 24th, Deandra Brown on TikTok came up with this latest topic called quiet firing. That's right, you heard it here, quiet firing. And that's when your workplace is seemingly subtly maybe trying to push you out. Again, lots of new phrases, but not a new concept. This isn't factually encoded in law here in Canada, both federally and in most provinces. Here in the province of Ontario, it is encoded in law as well. What are we really talking about when we talk about quiet firing? Well, we're talking about constructive dismissal. And this really describes the situation where employers don't really fire the employee, but rather they kind of create an environment that makes continued employment difficult or not really sustainable for the employee. And in the strategy here is to try and get the employee to exit on their own. Lots of different rationales for this, I suppose. We'll get to that in a minute. Often referred to as disguised dismissal or quitting with cause. Sometimes the employees offer an alternative to leaving, often not quite as good an opportunity as they had before. This is really the employer failing to meet their contractual obligations, and as such, we're getting into these situations where people find it just would be easier just to leave. Employees want to leave. So and that's federally Ontario. They describe it as forced resignation. The employee rather is pushed out without an official termination. The employee is found to have been deemed in law to have been terminated based on the actions of the employer. Can happen when an employer makes a significant change to a fundamental term of the condition of employment. Things such as compensation being reduced, losing demotion, losing supervisory responsibility, maybe moving them to a significant work relocation. You're in Toronto, now they're going to move you to Timmins. Changes shifts, decrease in work hours, toxic work environment, substantial increase in workload, substantial change in work conditions, making it almost quasi impossible to fill everything that's being asked of the person, not accommodating people, and then unjustified suspensions. Those are just some of the things that usually come to mind. There's two types here. There's a monetary constructive dismissal when there's a significant decrease in wages. Usually 10% is the benchmark here. And non-monetary constructive dismissal is you keep the pay the same, but because of the employer's conduct, it's just not possible to continue employment for a whole host of reasons. So lots of information out there on this. This is not a new concept, despite the fact that it's a new buzzword for employers. Let's not play this game. Fundamentally, if someone no longer fits with your organization or is no longer meeting your requirements or no longer generating the value that you require or want, then cut ties. Go get a second opinion. Talk to others, make sure that you've exhausted all the alternatives for that employee, because it is hard to find employees right now. So maybe there's a different task that they could take on. Have a conversation with the employee. Let's get into that consultative kind of arrangement. But at the end of the day, it's a fit issue, maybe it's a personality clash, whatever, then let's cut ties. It's going to cost you money. You're going to have to pay severance, but and this is where some people say, it's just be easier. Freddie Glick's been here for 6 years, and it'd be just easier if they just left on their own. Let's create the conditions so they leave. You're going to be facing a constructive dismissal request or complaint. pay the severance, do the right thing, give them career transition support, pay the severance, give them a good reference, end on amicable, positive terms. You want to protect your employer brand and you want to protect the former employees. Listen, in all our lives, there's lots of relationships that work really well. And sometimes they wane and those relationships break up. Marriages are a great example, not much different in some cases in employee employer relationships. For all the employees out there, if you feel that you're being constructively dismissed or quietly fired, the first recommendation is always keep good records of what is happening. But again, just like the advice we give to employers, let's talk about this. Let's have a meeting. Let's see if we can have a conversation about what's missing or what can be done differently. However, this is the best piece of advice: is never resign, never quit without first seeking some legal counsel from an employment lawyer who can give you some insight into some of the rights that you may have. So fundamentally, what is quiet firing? Quiet firing is kind of hoping the problem will go away. What's the problem? You no longer, as an employer, feel like there's a fit anymore. So wishing or hoping a problem will go away often means it never does go away. So again, let's be professional. Let's have a respectful discussion around what's happening, how to rectify it. As always, the number one complaint we get when we ask what's wrong inside your organization: communication. So let's use communication. Let's start talking. Let's get the conversation started so that these situations don't continue to fester and languish and continue to bring down our organizations. So quiet firing, new term, yes. New concept, no. Let's look up constructive dismissal if you want to learn more information, or give us a call, talk to one of our consultants here. This is an area that we know a lot about and can give you a lot of help. Look forward to hearing your comments as always, and we look forward to seeing you again on another Terry Talk really soon. Thanks for joining us.